Welcome back, guys. We got a quick overview of all the class abilities available in the demo, and without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, right, so first one up is the Temporal Blade. It pretty much slashes in a pretty wide area, so it's very useful for lots of people. Does a lot of damage. It is an interrupt, which is one of the biggest things I use it for. So nice and good, solid 20-second cooldown, so that you get back fairly quickly. And you know, for those tight spots where there's just a bunch of people, it really does help. And then the next one on the list is going to be Slow Trap. This is also one that I'm using, at least for the demo, because there's only 4. Basically, pretty self-explanatory. It puts a sphere around you when you drop it. That lasts for 10 seconds, and everything moves slower in it. That means if somebody's shooting at you, it's a great way to recover a little bit of health, pick up a downed ally, or just use it to be able to put in a bunch of damage into, say, a boss before he can get off a healing spell or something like that. So definitely useful. They do have mods that make it bigger and weaken and stuff like that. So definitely going to be versatile when the full game comes out. Next one is Hunt the Prey, and this one's also pretty self-explanatory. You hit it, it spawns you behind the enemy that you're looking at if they're within range. And you get, at least base, you get 37 shield from it. So it helps to move around, get you out of sticky situations, plus put you right behind them. I know some of the mods I've seen do a little bit of damage, or weaken, or give you more shield, and things like that. So it also really useful, but this is probably the one I use the least. Just because right now all I'm doing is grinding pretty much, so I kill 2 people and then I die. But it definitely has its use, and when the full game comes out, it'll probably shine even better than it does right now. And then the last one that we have for the demo is Twisted Rounds. This is an absolute monster to farm with, or just to kill with. It's great. Basically, you hit it, your mag, it could only have 1 bullet left. You hit it, it refills it all the way up. So if you're out of ammo, you still get ammo with this, so you don't have to worry about that. And you can even shoot half a mag down, activate it, and then you get a full mag mid trigger pull. So you can extend your damage per second out with that. There's extra perks to make it so you get 2 mags worth of Twisted Rounds. So you can just dump into bosses. That's what I use for my Terraform. And then just extra damage, all sorts of stuff. So this one's really the bread and butter right now for the demo. But again, we only have the first 4. And so we still have all these other ones that we have to look into. And so next on our list is the Techromancer. So the first ability on the list is Shrapnel. Shrapnel. Alright, so next one on the list is Techromancer. And so the first one is a proximity grenade mine. Proximity mine's probably the best way. So you can throw it down, enemy gets close to it, pops up, explodes, does a lot of damage. I know I used it basically as a grenade, which isn't the best way to use it because it's hard to accurately throw it without holding it down to get the throw projectile little line. So that was kind of a bummer for me, so I didn't use it too much after I got, you know, my 4th ability. The next one is the cryo turret. This thing, I feel sometimes it's amazing, the other times it can't hit the broadside of a barn. Especially if the enemy's moving, this thing can't hit anything. It just keeps shooting. So it's definitely better for those slower enemies. Bosses are only 1 or 2 enemies, but I did find that when using this in a larger crowd, they just tear down its health, and it goes away way too quick to be of any use. So this is going to be something you're going to use against a couple strong enemies, or like a boss or something like that, not a large group of enemies. But definitely good, definitely usable, and it has saved my butt on more than one occasion by freezing a boss or just a random enemy around me. Next one is a missile launcher, which shoots a volley of missiles just directly in front of it. It's pretty good. I like it. It does a lot of damage if you can get the enemies to line up in a straight line. But there are definitely areas where it just decimates. Absolutely, like, the best ability in the game. It just destroys all the enemies. But it's, again, I feel like it's more of an ad control ability versus a heavy damage against a boss type of ability. That could change later on in the game when we get more skills or things unlocked for each of these items, or different builds become more viable. It is an interrupt, and I guess if you could back a boss into a corner, each one of those should technically hit him if you put it right next to him. So I'm sure there's a way that you could get it so every single one of those hits a boss, and it could just do amazing damage wise. And then the 4th and final one for the demo is the blighted rounds. This is similar to the twisted rounds of the trickster, but with this one, if you hit an enemy, they get toxic, and then it also kind of spreads to enemies near them, and they get 50% of the damage. So this is great for large groups of ads, because it just hits 1, hits 2, and then everyone's just, you know, toxic and just losing health every second. So definitely a good one. Before I had to work on my accolades, this was the 3rd ability I was using. I was using the cryo turret, the pain launcher, and the blighted rounds as my go-to, just because I feel those kind of did the most. Again, I used the proximity mines more of grenades, which probably in hindsight wasn't the best, but not the worst. Alright, next up on our list is the Pyromancer. According to the devs, this is probably the strongest class in the game. I haven't felt that, but again, I see ammunition buff coming up along with some other pretty cool abilities possibly down the line, so that could definitely change my mind at that point. But for the current abilities, I'm not the biggest fan. So the first one is a heat wave, which basically just summons a firewall straight in front of you. Has pretty good range. It doesn't go up and down super well, so if somebody's really high above you or below you, or there's like a ramp, this just kind of keeps going straight for the most part. So you have to be cognizant of that when you're using it. Does pretty good damage, inflicts burn, which is helpful, especially when used in conjunction with another ability that he has. So definitely useful. It's a good, way to damage a lot of enemies. Next one is Feed the Flames, and this one is pretty simple. You use it, it pulls the enemy slightly towards you, dealing base 72 damage, but then draining 197 health. This will heal you up pretty well, and it inflicts ash, which makes them not move for a hot second. So definitely good to get your health back up. It's pretty much the only way you can really do it with abilities. So definitely useful, and it's an immobilize, so you can always use that to kind of stop a boss from healing or doing any other abilities that you find annoying. Next one is the Thermal Bomb. This one, it hits an enemy, and then the affected enemy, if they die, they explode, causing a bunch of damage. So really great for huge crowds. You get one of them, you just gotta make sure you kill that one after you put it in it, or make sure that the ability kills them, because the effect doesn't last super long. I think you have probably a 5-second window after you hit them with it before the effect vanishes and they won't blow up anymore. So definitely useful. You just gotta be cautious and not hit, a boss with it where you're not going to get that explosion. The fourth and final one is Overheat. So this one has a very large radius and it affects all enemies. It is an interrupt, which is also great. And then this is the one that works very well in conjunction with the Heat Wave. So you get everyone set on fire to burn, you use this, and then they receive 129 damage instead of the 10 damage. So can do a lot of damage. It does consume that burn status. So if they just got put on it and they still have a couple seconds left and you use this, it just pulls all that burn time out. So I haven't found that to be a huge issue, but it is something to be aware of. And the fourth and final class on our list is the Devastator. This has got to be my favorite character to use, and we'll get into the details of why a little bit later. But the first one up is Earthquake. This is very much similar to Heat Wave from the Pyromancer. It's just directly in front of it, a little shockwave. It'll knock people over, interrupt any skills, and then does 95 damage. So again, good for, lots of enemies, or if they're behind a wall or something like that. Next one is the Golem. So this one will negate 65% of incoming damage for 8 seconds. So if you're almost dead, or you're just trying to start off the fight strong, you can go ahead and hit this Golem. 8 seconds, you take 65% less damage. So this character really is the tank of the game. This helps out a lot. 8 seconds might not seem like a lot, but you can get your health back in that time. You can finish off an enemy. You can just run past to get to the spot you need to get to without taking nearly as much damage. The next one is a Gravity Leap. This is similar to Hunt the Prey from the Trickster. So this one, you jump up in the air and then you slam down on them, causing 190 damage. And then it's also an interrupt. This is really powerful. There's even a way to make it so you pretty much can't die with this. So what I found is while you're in it in the air, you don't take any damage. And so if you let that just run out, by the time you're back down, your health refills up to that bar that you have. And so you're able to just go up, refill it, let it end by itself, you go back down, and then a second later you can pop back up again to get health. So say you're in a really tight pinch and you're just waiting for your reflect or some other ability to come back, you can just keep popping up and down with this ability and pretty much survive indefinitely. Next and final one for the demo, which is by far the best one in my opinion, is the reflect bullets. So this one creates a barrier and captures all enemy projectiles, and gathers all that damage, and after 12 seconds the damage is then reflected back the enemies in front of you. This also protects against melee attacks by reflecting some damage back. So this is really great. Just does a bunch of damage. I can solo a captain with just this ability with 3 enemies or 3 teammates. So the hardest we can get right now at World Tier 5, and it'll just decimate them. There's an ability, an add-on ability with the gear that'll give 50% more damage to the enemy with the most health. There's one for to make it last 20% longer. There's one to increase the damage of each of those bullets. And then there's a couple other that are really strong. One is make them bleed. So if you don't quite kill them with it, they'll all be bleeding. But I can, again, solo a terraform with 2 of my buddies just sitting at the spawn. Kill the boss, kill the marksman, and then just perfectly fine, easy. And that's it. So if you guys like it, I'm glad. Go ahead and comment what you want to see. What do you think I should be doing next? What are your thoughts? What's your favorite character and ability? And go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Until next time, I'll see you later.